Kojo Poku. So on this one, this is one that he, as well, until his appointment to the Bamia campaign team, had written quite extensively on it. Kojo, now this is the proposal that the revered king is making, that with all of this, it is, if the problems are largely financial, then if government doesn't have the money, as we have seen now, bring in the private sector, which has the money to be able, or to raise the money, to be able to address the challenges that ECG is faced with. Find out your quick thoughts on this matter.
Well, good morning again. Look, it's very unfortunate when people set their own question and answer them as well. This largely financial, I think we've gone past it. Everybody wants to talk about it. Martin Poku all of a sudden wants to now talk about things not being record signs, talking about technicalities he does not understand. The last time I was in the studio with him, when I was just speaking mere English, he told me I'm not a lawyer. How can I be speaking about law when I'm not a lawyer? He is now talking about technicalities he doesn't understand, saying that it's a simple matter of producing a timetable. Does he know what goes into that process to give a timetable? And he's sitting next to somebody who was part of a committee that did that exercise. So at least he can educate him privately to let him know that it is not just a mere timetable. There is a lot that goes into that thing before. You understand? So what you have to understand is that this timetable issue, let me address that and I think we can move on. You have seen the documentation that have gone to show that whenever Gridco, who wields the power and manages the grid, informs ECG has come out to say that they give them about 1 hour to 3 hours notice when they are having challenges with the frequency on the. You've seen that document, Alfred, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And that document goes to tell us that there isn't enough time, and ECG themselves have challenges. You remember the letter Gridco wrote to the minister, where ECG has come out to say that, look, they disagree with Gridco in part and in large, at points when they have asked them to shed load. I have explained this over and over. There are two concessionary areas in Ghana. There is NETCO and there is ECG. ECG has their own power purchase agreements within which they operate, and they have basically arranged and signed off in agreement with these power producers. If at any point in time, your people you have signed an agreement with is generating far in excess of what you need for your concessionary area, then somebody calls you to tell you that, look, I know that you need maybe 2,000 megawatts for your concessionary area. The power purchase agreement, those that you have signed with, the IPPs, the independent power producers, are producing 3,000. But you only need 2,000 that you signed the agreement, please manage load of, let's say, 200 megawatts. ECG is saying that, why should I manage the load? Because my contractual obligation is being met and I should be able to get power for my customers. So look, there is a letter that went from Gridco to ECG, why ECG is not complying with Gridco's directives. And the minister is trying to resolve that matter. But this issue of money, and please, I was not on any phone call or any radio program 3 days ago where everybody agreed that it was by and large about money. This thing where everybody wants to now drag it as money, let's leave it there and let's move on to the substantive question that you asked. Yes, look, private sector participation has been long talked about. When we didn't go through PDS, some of us were of the full understanding that after PDS was abrogated, the government will have a second bite, learning from the mistakes of PDS. For me, I think there are two instances that led to the failure of PDS. When the government said that there should be 51% Ghanaian shareholdership, okay? The money required, you needed about $510 million to be invested in ECG for 5 years. And if you now say that Ghanaians should own 51%, it means that Ghanaians have to cough up over $250 million in 5 years. There was nobody and no institution in Ghana with that money. Okay, so what happened was that you now find out that they intend to bring in certain companies who also didn't feel why they should now invest the money, why they didn't have the majority shareholding. And it's natural for every company not to want to invest money if they are not a majority shareholder. So I think that was in large. But look, private sector works. I don't know why somebody would think that whether it's in public or private hands, it is integrity or whatever that causes that. No, private sector works because we as private sectors, when we run institutions, we run it well. Yes, we might make decisions that people don't agree with. It's just to show that the institutions that the great king mentioned are the ones, Gridco VRA. I think Gridco, because there is only one Gridco transmission company, it will be difficult to sell it off. What we could look at is some level of equity participation from private sector in the minority space and maybe give operatorship to private sector. There is other aspect of VRE. Yes, that one too, maybe you can look at the COFOR model where we basically list some of these companies on the stock exchange and only diversify about minority stake of 49%. The only problem is that before you can list any of these companies on the stock exchange, the company should be structured well, so at least it makes profit in 3 years on a row. You cannot list a loss-making company on the stock exchange. So it's a good approach. I have talked about diversity, as Alfred, you rightfully said. I have talked about diversifying most of these government institutions for so many years. And there are so many institutions that I can list that I don't see why government owns them 100%. It just doesn't make sense.
The last time you were here in the studio with Nsafoah Poku, right? The last time you were here. And I asked a question about any indication of when this was going to end. Nsafoah Poku had indicated that, Kojo, you said that you were privy to some conversation that suggested that by the end of the month of March, this whole power situation, the Dumso and all of that was going to be over. I recall that because I asked you that question in the studio 3 weeks ago when you were here. We're still experiencing these power outages. What's happening? Where did you get that information from? On mute for me. On mute.
Hello. I have not muted.
I'm hearing. I'm just going back to that statement
what I'm
you
saying
made.
is that the people sending you those text messages have been going around following me on every interview trying to get that question. Look, I'm not a government appointee.
But you are a member of...
not even any... Oh, hold on. Let me land, please. I'm not a government appointee. I can only talk about the information I'm privy to. And as the chairman of a manifesto committee, what I am looking at is professing solutions for future, not for current. So yes, I am privy to certain conversation. There was meetings in Bukias, in the Pediasi. There was meetings the following Monday. There have been subsequent meetings by the ministry and the presidency. And the assurances that have come out is that they put measures in place and the situation is being resolved. Look, by and large, the situation has improved. It has improved. I don't think anybody would say that.
You didn't say the situation was going to improve. You said it would end.
Well,
that's what you said.
Please, I know what I said. I'm not walking it back. I'm telling you that I am not the guy sitting on the chair. I'm the guy who just hear and privy to conversations. So if based on the conversation I know, I say that we will not enter May. Sorry, we will not enter April with this situation. And we are still in it to an extent. But a much improved situation. It means that it's a progress, it's an ongoing progress. Okay? So look, the point that my brother made.
I just wanted a quick response to that. So just to put it in perspective, that the statement you made is not a reflection of the fact and the reality that the people are faced with right now. But
it's not entirely true. Alfred, I don't like when you put words in my mouth. It's not entirely true.
No, I'm not putting words in your mouch. I'm only saying that you said the situation was going to end. We're experiencing it right now.
Some people. In much area, the situation has improved. It's only a small area that we have a few. Look, 3 days ago, we had a trip at the Tema. Hold on.
Could you, if you say it's a small area, what do you mean?
Stop that. We all have
small.
What do you mean?
Let me When you ask a question, let me land, please. 3 days ago, I have always said that we have a mechanical, electrical that we are managing. When you have a moving process, anything can happen. Look, 2 days ago, there was a trip in Tema. When these things happen, anything can happen. So look, yes, there are challenges that were in the system, improved massively. Then every now and then you still getting one or two problems that happen, which is creating a few pockets of problems. But it has improved much. It has improved massively. Okay, so I'm saying that some areas are having.
Could you, well, if you say it's improved massively, on what basis? Because I'm talking specifically based on the experiences of the people. So if you're saying this situation has improved, where's the data?
Yes, but
where's the data?
Of the people is saying that I am okay. Look, Alfred, I am on about 18 regional platforms. 18, which is almost, I can say that on terms of the party platforms, because I went around and campaigned, I still keep the campaign platform that I'm on. On these platforms, when the lights start going off badly in those regions and those areas, everybody complain on those platforms. And the reason how I gauge it is the complaint of light outages on these platforms. And I monitor my WhatsApp greatly. And I'm saying that pockets of Greater Accra, by large, is where the problem is in the last week.
No, well, I'm
actually sure that one is being looked at.
Well, I tell you what, that's not the case. Not just pockets of Greater Accra. Before we went to bed last night, areas like Koforidia experienced power outages. We had information as well, some parts of Western region. Also, we got information from areas in Central region as well. So because you have indicated that if I hold you to strict proof on some of the things you say, you tell me that you are not a government appointee. So I'm not going to.
I don't have a problem with that.
But I'm just telling you, there's not a Greater Accra problem.
Well, I don't have a problem with that because by and large, you know that there's also localized problems. So the localized problems are there. So, by the fact that lights go off, people should understand that lights always go off in Ghana. I've always said this. So they are localized problems.
But Mr. You know what?
Instances where there are challenges that which is the lowest.